Welcome to GRE. I'm your host, Keith Weinhold. I compare real estate to how other asset classes have performed, give you a simple example to help you understand an inverted yield curve, describe the significance of the 5 in your life, then help find a match with the right income property for you today on Get Rich Education. If you like the Get Rich Education podcast, you're going to love our Don't Quit Your Daydream newsletter. No AI here. I write every word of the letter myself. It wires your mind for wealth. It helps you make money in your sleep and updates you on vital real estate investing trends. It's free. Sign up at getricheducation.com/letter. It's real content that makes a real difference in your life, spiced with a dash of humor. Rather than living below your means, learn how to grow your means. Right now, you can also easily get the letter by texting GRE to 66866. Text GRE to 66866.
You're listening to the show that has created more financial freedom than nearly any show in the world. This is Get Rich Education.
Welcome to GRE, from Johannesburg, South Africa to Mechanicsburg, Pennsylvania, and across 188 nations worldwide. I'm Keith Weinhold, and you are listening to Get Rich Education. This is where your educational major is real estate investing, and your minors are in real estate economics and wealth mindset. That's what we do here. It all culminates with your doctorate in financial freedom. Before we talk about real estate, we recently had a year that just ended, and to know that real estate is the right place for you long-term, at times, especially after a year ends, we need to compare that to other asset classes. So what actually happened last year elsewhere in the investing world? Stocks, the S&P 500 was up 25%, even though for most that invest in stocks, you're only paid one way, not 5 ways, but still 25%, that's a pretty healthy return. Tech companies accounted for most of the gains. Yes, what they call the Magnificent Seven, that is putting the team on its back. Yeah, these are the 7 tech megacaps: Microsoft, Apple, Alphabet, NVIDIA, Tesla, Meta, and Amazon. They surged more than 75% last year, while the other 493 companies in the S&P 500 have gained just 12%. Yes, the Magnificent Seven now accounts for nearly 30% of the index's entire value. That's per the Wall Street Journal. And speaking of the S&P 500, it just added a prominent new member a few weeks ago, and that is Uber. Zooming outside the United States, global stock markets had their best year since 2019. Bitcoin was up 157%. Yes, you heard that right. 157, as the crypto winter thawed out last year. The yield on the 10-year Treasury note was up just 8 basis points. That's virtually unchanged. Very little movement. And see, that's also why mortgage rates ended the year at the same level they started at, which is near 6.5%. That is because mortgage rates track that 10-year T-note. Gold was up 11%, and here in residential real estate, it was up 4%. That's on the median price of existing homes, but it's only through November, not the full calendar year. Yes, real estate is such a laggard with reporting statistics. So almost everywhere y'all look, prices are up, up, up. Yes, it's not just for those essentials on your last grocery store run where they're up. Okay, the value of your assets, fortunately, is up too. And really, one of the few places that pain was felt was in the commercial real estate market. I think you know that. But let me tell you how that pain is positioned to get even worse shortly here. All right, U.S. office vacancy rates hovered around 20% last year. Now, that's a rate that was actually worse than during the 2008 financial crisis. More companies told workers, hey, get back to your desk, okay? Calling workers back to the office at Salesforce, Amazon, BlackRock. But still, card swipe data in America showed that only about half as many people are making the trip into the office compared to pre-pandemic numbers. And you've got some companies like Meta, the parent of Facebook and Instagram, they're getting creative and actually subleasing their office space to other tenants. But not all commercial real estate is struggling. The retail vacancy rate fell to just 4.8% last year. Retail is not dead. And that retail vacancy rate, that is actually the lowest in 18 years since the real estate firm CBRE started tracking it. And big box stores and malls, shockingly, are so back. There's also a big real estate demand for warehouses, data centers, and industrial space thanks to the recent surge of AI and that pandemic-induced e-commerce boom. But we probably haven't seen the worst of it yet because, within the next 4 years, about 2/3 of commercial real estate loans will likely be refinanced with interest rates much higher than they were the first time around. The last thing that we have to recap for you that we learned from last year is all of those god-awful, dreadfully wrong predictions of a recession. So many predictions were so wrong. Instead, we had historically low unemployment and solid corporate profits. Inflation fell. Now, there is one prominent financial media platform, one of the nation's biggest. I won't mention their name, though you've surely heard of them. This agency gave zero room for any other outcome because they predicted a 100% chance of a recession last year. 100%. All right, they really look wrong. Although, let's be mindful, technically, due to a statistical lag, we often don't know if we are in a recession until after the fact, but few think that we were late last year. Understand, though, not absolutely everyone was a Debbie Downer, say, back in late 2022. Let's give some credit where it's due. Moody's Analytics chief economist Mark Zandi, he was one of the few experts who kept the faith for a soft landing. He pointed out that recessions typically come out of the blue and that there was a good chance the Fed would get inflation under control without tanking the economy. Now, one condition that a lot of people pointed to, saying that a recession should be here by now, is that dreaded condition that you probably heard of, maybe not, but that is known as an inverted yield curve, which is deemed as a harbinger of bad things to come, usually a recession, okay? Now that phenomenon, inverted yield curve, that sounds intimidating, I think, when you hear that, okay? And what that means, an inverted yield curve, is that the interest rate on long-term bonds is lower than the interest rate on short-term bonds, and that right there is what's often a bad sign for the economy. Now, if what I just said right there kind of makes you scratch your head and say to yourself, what was all that gobbledygook again, and why does it matter? Why don't I give you a simple example of an inverted yield curve that you can actually remember? What I'll do is make this personal to you. A bond is just a fancy name for a loan. Let's say that you need a loan for $10,000 and you've got this great friend, a lifelong and trusted friend, and he will let you borrow the money from him. Now, if you take out the loan and tell him that you'll pay him back as quickly as next week, which is our short-term bond in this example, well, your friend might not charge you any interest on the loan at all. Then just say that he wanted you to pay him a small 1% interest rate. Okay, see, your rate is low because there's not that much risk for him since you'll pay him back next week. That's not too long for him to wait. But say that you want to take the same $10,000 loan from that friend, but you're going to pay him back for 10 years, an entire decade. Well, for him to want to make you that loan, he's going to need to get compensated more with a higher interest rate for the heightened risk in that long payback period, okay? What if you move or if you aren't even alive in 10 years, all right? That entails more risk for him, the lender. So therefore, your loan comes with a 10% interest rate that you've got to pay your friend. This is analogous to the long-term bond. All right, right there, I've just explained the normal yield curve condition right there. That's normal. The longer someone lends money out for to you, the more that they must get compensated. And that should make sense to you that that is a normal world. 1 week was 1% interest, 1 decade was 10% interest that you'd have to pay. That's normal. However, an inverted yield curve simply flips that normal world upside down. It inverts it. It's the opposite of the arrangement that I just described with your friend. So this is where the shorter duration that one makes a loan for, the higher interest rate they're compensated with. See, that's a weird world. That's an inverted yield curve. Because if your friend thinks that the world is going to crash soon with a recession or a depression, or Earth gets hit with an asteroid soon, well, then he'd want high compensation even on a short-term, week-long loan, because freakish things are happening, and that's an inverted yield curve, and that's why having one, like we have recently, signals something dire, like a recession coming to many. Now, at the top of the show, I talked about the returns of various asset classes over the past year. Of course, that is only in terms of capital appreciation. That's all that most investors think about. Simply, did it go up or did it go down? It's an important question, but around here, we know that real estate is a special asset class because when it's bought right, it can pay you 5 ways at the same time. When it comes to the numbers, that number 5, that is symbolic of why we do what we do here at GRE. So let me talk about really the existential and symbolic virtues that resonate with you across your life and the meaning behind that special number 5. And it's about more than our real estate pays 5 ways, which, as any listener knows, is appreciation, cash flow, return on amortization, tax benefits, and then fifthly, inflation profiting. And I'm holding up 5 fingers right now as I say this. According to numerology, the number 5 symbolizes freedom, curiosity, and change, a desire to have adventures and explore new possibilities, but it signifies more than just high energy and excitement. In numerology, the 5's negative traits can include talking too much and overconfidence. Okay, that's what numerology says. 5 ways real estate pays is a freedom formula, so that's actually numerology appropriate, I suppose. Now, we don't do astrology or tarot cards here. Nothing hokey. Concrete evidence. Though I will venture to guess that at least in some other facet of your life, 5 resonates with you. You've got 5 senses. Each one of your limbs has 5 fingers or 5 toes. In Christianity, there are the 5 wounds of Jesus Christ. If you're Muslim, there are the 5 pillars of Islam. Muslims pray to Allah 5 times a day. In Judaism, the Torah contains 5 books. Aristotle said that the universe is made up of 5 classical elements: water, air, earth, fire, and ether. A lot of more popular folklore celebrates the 5. Like Indiana Jones sought the Sankara stones. They were 5 magical rocks. In music, modern musical notation uses a musical staff made of 5 horizontal lines. Sports, the Olympic Games, have 5 interlocked rings. When you shake hands to close your next real estate deal, you're each using those 5 fingers. In law, 5 is what renders a verdict. 5 is the number of justices on the Supreme Court of the United States necessary to render a majority decision. There's a show on Fox called The 5, and near the top of our Don't Quit Your Daydream letter, we've got the 5. 5 is defensible in your investment fortress, just like the Pentagon is a 5-sided building in D.C. known for defense. Real estate pays 5 ways. And hey, even that phrase is 5 words. And it's a concept that was first introduced to the world right here on the GRE podcast in 2015. So we're done with the touchy-feely stuff, but look around. 5, it has a lot of meaning in your life. And in fact, the next time someone asks you why you're invested in real estate, hold up 5 fingers and confidently tell them that real estate pays 5 ways. What better way to affirm this than to come back with a concrete example shortly on how this helps you navigate toward financial freedom in your life? In ever-changing real estate markets, we're going to use today's real-life numbers in summing up the 5. I hope you enjoyed me whipping around the asset classes and explaining what an inverted yield curve really means to you. More next. I'm Keith Weinhold. You're listening to Get Rich Education. For a lender that's a specific expert with income property, you need Ridge Lending Group, NMLS 42056. In GRE history, from beginners to veterans, they provided our listeners with more mortgages than anyone. It's where I get my own loans for single-family rentals up to 4plexes. Start your pre-qualification and chat with President Chaley Ridge personally. They'll even customize a plan tailored to you for growing your portfolio. Start at ridgelendinggroup.com, ridgelendinggroup.com. You know, I'll just tell you, for the most passive part of my real estate investing, personally, I put my own dollars with Freedom Family Investments because their funds pay me a stream of regular cash flow, and returns are better than a bank savings account, up to 12%. Their minimums are as low as $25K. You don't even need to be accredited for some of them. It's all backed by real estate, and I kind of love how the tax benefit of doing this can offset capital gains and your W-2 job's income. And they've always given me exactly their stated return, paid on time, so it's steady income, no surprises, while I'm sleeping or just doing the things I love. For a little insider tip, I've invested in their Power Fund. To get going on that, text FAMILY to 66866. Oh, and this isn't a solicitation. If you want to invest where I do, just go ahead and text FAMILY to 66866.
This is Rich Dad Advisor Ken McElroy. Listen to Get Rich Education with Keith Weinhold and don't quit your daydream.
Welcome back to Get Rich Education. I'm your host, Keith Weinhold. You've been with me here every single week since 2014. A lot of you have anyway. You're listening to episode 483, and I'm deeply appreciative for you, the listener. Coming up here on the show, an in-house chat with one of our investment coaches, Doug Casey, on the silent depression. And like I told you last week, soon a return of Tom Wheelwright when we discuss whether the U.S. can just completely do away with and delete the property tax. Wouldn't that be amazing? Around here, we like to say that when we provide good housing to people, we can help abolish the term slumlord. But your real estate investing venture isn't solely altruistic. There are generous profits too. And you know, it's incredible to me how more real estate investors don't even understand the answer to basic questions like, how do I get paid? And how much do I get paid? And where are the sources of where that money comes from? And really, these are all huge reasons for why you and I are even investing in real estate at all. So I love doing this. Let's add up the 5 ways and come up with a total ROI. And it's always a little awe-inspiring to do this, even with conservative numbers, to see how high your return gets. And let's use the year 2024 sort of numbers. And it's kind of funny. In a sense, I dislike real estate. Elements wear down the outside. Tenants might get difficult to manage on the inside. And you're certainly going to have some problems, including some weird problems along the way in your investor journey. So although in a sense I dislike real estate, rather, I like what real estate does for me. It's largely about those giant returns. So let me demystify real estate returns with a quick breakdown. And I think you know that the 5 ways are not for fix and flip property. This is just with buy and hold investing on a property that's ready to go, ready to be moved into, turnkey. Here's a simplified method, the concrete numbers. All right, let's say that you make a 20% down payment. And in this case, that is a $40K initial investment on a $200K income property. In just a year, here's what can happen. The first way, appreciation. You've got that initial property value of $200K, an appreciation rate of just 5%, where your new property's value is now $210K. You just experienced an equity gain of $10K divided by your $40K initial investment. That is a 25% return to you just from the first of 5 ways you're paid. That is due to the magic of leverage because you got the gain on both your down payment and the money that you got to borrow from the bank. The second way is with cash flow. Let's say your rental income is $1,600 a month, but things are running a little thinner on this property and your expenses are $1,500 a month with the mortgage and all the operating expenses. That gives you leftover cash flow of only $100 a month. That's $1,200 a year. That's still divided by that same $40K initial investment you made. All right, that is another 3% return to you. The third way you're paid is that ROA, return on amortization, also known as principal paydown. All right, well, you have a $160K loan on this property. We use an 8% interest rate. So all you got to do is search for a loan amortization table, bring it up, and you'll see that you have a monthly principal reduction of about $110 a month. That is $1,320 a year that your tenant paid down, not you. So right here, your $1,320 equity gain is still divided by your same $40K skin in the game down payment. That is yet another 3% gain. Then the fourth of 5 ways are your tax benefits. All right, your property value is $200K. That's how much your property is worth on the day that you bought it. Now, your building value might be about 70% of that. And the other is in the value of the land. So therefore, your building value, or that improved portion of the property, is worth about $140K. Well, annual depreciation is about 3.6% of that. That gives you a $5,000 tax depreciation benefit. If you're at the 25% tax rate, that's $1,250 a year divided by your same $40K initial investment. That is another 3% return to you, just piling on. And then the fifth and final way is your inflation profiting. You profit from inflation as your debt gets debased by inflation. This is the least understood of the 5 ways. You've got that $160K loan amount at a 3% inflation rate. That gives you an annual debt debasement of $4,800, again, divided by your same $40K initial investment. This is another 12% return to you. All right, there we go. Now let's add up all of those ROIs from the 5 ways real estate pays. You had 25% from appreciation, plus 3% from cash flow, plus 3% from your ROA, plus 3% from your tax benefit, plus 12% from your inflation profiting. That equals a 46% total ROI that you have from this property. I mean, that right there, that is exactly why you're a real estate investor. That is exactly why I'm a real estate investor. What do you think it was for? To replace toilet flappers and spackle drywall? Hey, that stuff's important, but I don't personally do it myself. That's the kind of stuff I dislike because I'm not good at it. Now, at a number of steps, when I went through that, you'll notice that I was conservative or rounded down. I used an 8% mortgage rate and 3% inflation. Although there are numerous tax benefits, the only one I considered is tax depreciation. Your seller can often help pay your closing costs if you make a full price offer. So to keep it simple, I did not roll closing costs into that. See, all these numbers are realistic while paying a property manager is accounted for. And as a reminder, that was only in year 1. Your subsequent year's returns, they are going to gradually diminish as equity accumulates in your property. And of course, that's an example. Your real life numbers are either going to be better than that or worse than that. And yes, we could get more precise numbers if we discuss numbers from 20 spreadsheets and really made your head hurt, but we're not going to do that. And you do enough years of this, and you're going to have hordes of people lurking in the viewers of your Instagram story about your latest month-long vacation in the Maldives Islands, okay? Now, if you need to see what I just explained visually and you're newer to our platform and you haven't seen that yet, I also explain the 5 ways in a free mini video course so that you can really get a good look at all those numbers and where they come from. And you can get that at getricheducation.com/course. The cool thing about real estate math, like I just did there, is its simplicity. All we did there was addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. In real estate, I've never had to do trigonometry, calculus, or use exponents, okay? It's not about complicated math. All it is knowing what numbers to use. And in fact, that's probably why I'd expect that my skills are pretty rusty in calculus and trigonometry right now. I don't need to use that stuff. You can do all this with a pen and a napkin at lunch, and that is a big part of the beauty of this. So here at GRE, we brought the world an awareness to this for about 9 years now. And shortly after show inception, we helped lead you to the actual property addresses that are conducive to this, because you kept asking me, where can I actually find properties where this works? And then more recently, we added free coaching to help get you started or to help you get your next income property. And by the way, if you've ever wondered, there are 8 of us that are here on the team at GRE, and we often recruit new team members. We do that through our newsletter, subscribers like you, because you already understand abundantly minded concepts like financially free beats debt free. We are not owned by any parent company. So when you tell a friend about the show or you interact with our sponsors, you're really supporting an independent voice here. And that's not to disparage the big corporatocracy in any way. That's just simply not who we are. It was recently reported that Warner Brothers and Paramount are in early merger discussions. Well, GRE won't be facing scrutiny from antitrust regulators anytime soon. And our sponsors, like you hear on our ads here during the show, they are ones that I use myself. We don't produce AI-generated material here either. This is organic, original content. And a number of people on our team here have been with us for a while. Our investment coach, Andrea, since 2020, Naresh since 2021, and our podcast sound engineer, Bidran, has helped produce the show that you're listening to right now every single week since episode 3 in 2014, almost since inception, 9+ years now. GRE Marketplace is where you'll find the income properties. For almost 2 years now, to make it even easier for you, you can even find and select from our 2 investment coaches on that page in order to help you out. And since our coaching is truly free, please respect their time. They're not there just to chat. It is for action takers. Now, 7 weeks ago, we did an episode here on how the real estate market is slowing it down. And of course, when we talk about slowing down, the slow real estate market is in terms of the number of sales or the sales volume. Not as many homes are transacting as usual. For one thing, there's always a lag around the holidays, but there's also an overall lack of American housing inventory, as you probably know. Well, I am happy to tell you that we do have inventory at GRE Marketplace, and a good selection. Everything from an older, renovated Ohio single-family income property for a sales price of, say, $110K, to Alabama new build single families for $300K, to Florida new build duplexes for $500 to $600K, to fourplexes for upwards of $1 million. If you want to benefit from everything that we discuss here on the channel, the actionable way for you to do that is with our free coaching. Yes, I'm talking about you. Make yourself that long-term 5-ways profiteer by not focusing on getting your money to work for you. That is a fixed mindset paradigm. Shift to ethically getting other people's money to work for you, like we discuss here. That is, you simply put a small down payment on an income-producing property. I mean, that's most of the formula right there. That's it. We're talking about how you can start or grow your own portfolio of buy and hold property, not fix and flips. It's often entry-level property, which is what makes a good long-term rental property that's either already renovated or it is brand new. Oftentimes it's single-family homes up to fourplexes, sometimes some apartment buildings there. Now, at GRE Marketplace, you can either shop off-market property yourself or have the free help of one of our GRE investment coaches. And your coach learns your goals, guides you, and makes it easy for you. They help you shop the GRE Marketplace properties, tell you where the real deals are nationally, and sometimes they tell you how to get improbably low mortgage rates when new home builders make those available. And your coach, if you don't have one already, they give you the insights, the news on the latest good deals. For about a year now, a lot of new home builders have got to keep building and they have to keep moving properties to stay in business. So that's why amidst higher mortgage rates, you can get an interest rate for income property in the 5s now because the builder buys it down for you and or even get a year's worth of free property management. Yeah, builders are often able to buy down your mortgage rate for you because what they do is that they buy big chunks of money from lenders in bulk. Where instead, if a lender does it directly with you, they have more documentation that they have to do with each individual investor for their smaller loan sizes. That's how builders are buying down your rate. They buy money in bulk from lenders. Now, you'll see that GRE Marketplace properties are often less expensive than you'll find elsewhere for properties that are turnkey and ready to be tenant occupied like this. Now, how are these off-market property prices so competitive? Really, where's the advantage come from here? Well, first of all, there is no real estate agent that the seller has to compensate with a traditional 5 or 6% commission. Instead, you get to buy direct. Secondly, investor advantage markets just intrinsically have lower prices than the national median. They tend to be in the Midwest, Southeast, and Inland Northeast, and they come with a property management solution. And thirdly, the providers in our network, they're not mom and pop flippers that provide investors like you with just 1 or 2 homes a year. Instead, these are builders and renovation companies in business to do this at scale. So they get to buy their materials in bulk, keeping the price down for you. And really, a fourth reason that you tend to find good deals at GRE Marketplace is that you aren't buying properties from owner-occupants where their emotions get involved and they sometimes expect irrationally high prices for some offbeat reason because the living room is where they open their Christmas stockings every year for a decade or something like that. Now, just like buying your own home to live in, these income properties come with a lot of the same safeguards when you buy. We suggest that once your coach helps you make an offer and you're under contract for a property, that you have an independent third-party property inspection done, and then the seller typically fixes any inspection findings for you at their expense, the seller's expense, before you close the deal. And we're talking about anything from a window that doesn't close properly to a faucet that drips. You want to have those conditions cured and taken care of before you buy. Now, as a buyer, it's not legally required that you do an inspection, but I recommend it, even if it slows down your purchase process a little. An inspection is like cheap insurance for you. Don't rush that part. As a condition of your mortgage lender giving you the loan, there will be an independent lender appraisal of the property's value before you buy. That part is mandatory, and this appraisal, it's another safeguard to keep you from overpaying. If you don't have an investment coach yet, it is truly free. They're there to help you out. read a few sentences about each coach and pick the coach that you think resonates with you, or just pick the one that you think has the best smile over there on that page. They are really well qualified. They have their MBAs, but more importantly, the coaches are relatable because they're active real estate investors themselves. Just like I am, coaching is truly something that's free. We don't try to upsell you to some paid course or some fee-based coaching program later. There's nothing like that. So just create one login, one time, and connect with them at gremarketplace.com. And it's really helpful if you're financially ready first. Check with your mortgage loan company and get pre-approved unless you're paying all cash. Really, today, with inflation, about as little as you'd want to spend on a rental property that won't give you an inordinate amount of problems is your 20% down payment on a $100 to $150K property. Well, you should find this most helpful. You can get started with investor-advantaged off-market deals and GRE investment coaches at gremarketplace.com. I'm Keith Weinhold. I'll chat with you next week. Don't quit your daydream.
Nothing on this show should be considered specific, personal, or professional advice. Please consult an appropriate tax, legal, real estate, financial, or business professional for individualized advice. Opinions of guests are their own. Information is not guaranteed. All investment strategies have the potential for profit or loss. The host is operating on behalf of Get Rich Education, LLC exclusively.
The preceding program was brought to you by your home for wealth building, GetRichEducation.com.